Well, hello, General Hospital Daily Recap fans. Today's Daily Recap, excuse me, y'all, is for Friday, April the 5th, 2024. Friday, April the 5th. Well, Molly and Christina decide they're going to have lunch at Bobby's. You know, they just missed the lunch rush, which was probably planned. I know I'd plan it that way. So it's just Carly in there going over her books. And Molly is polite as Molly normally is, but she was surprised Carly wasn't mad or upset at her for representing Jason. And because she was like, I, she didn't know how to approach Carly. And she's like, I hope you're not mad at me. Or Carly said, Hi, Molly, how are you doing? Something like that. And she's like, Oh, I wanted you to know you did a good job. Something like that, Carly said. And she goes, I thought you'd be mad at me for prosecuting Jason's case. And Carly looked at her and said, Well, who said I'm not? Carly loved it. And Molly just looked at her. She goes, But bottom line, you still did an excellent job. Molly is, maturing, coming into their own. Remember, Molly and Morgan, before they decided to age Morgan, way before they aged Molly, they were like this. They did everything together, two peas in a pod. So anyway, she was happy about that. And Christina comes running in late and they're going to sit down. But Christina McCartney says, Look, both of you have yourself a seat anywhere you want. I'll bring menus. So Carly goes to walk away. And Christina, being Christina, Carly, I know Nina's bracket Crimson. I just wanted to know, how are you doing? And Cardi looked at her. I'm doing fine. I've got my place. I'm keeping very busy. Drew is a savvy businessman. I'm sure he had his reasons for bringing Nina back to Crimson. And Christina's like, yeah, just making sure you're okay. I was going to say, you know what, chick? You was trying to start something. And she was. She was trying to smudge Nina into Carly's face. That's how Christina is. So Molly sits, when she goes and sits down with Molly, and Molly's like, Christina, that was so insensitive of you. And she goes, What? Trying to throw Nina in Carly's face. And she looked at Molly and she looked over at Carly. She goes, She's fine. Oh, oh. So you wanted her not to be fine. Well, here's what happened. Jocelyn comes in. She's walking past Molly and Christina. She says, Hi, Molly. She goes, Hi, Jocelyn. And she walks right by. And Christina's just sitting there. And Molly looked at Christina and she goes, So what's up between you and Jocelyn? Jocelyn has some nerve. She and I, you didn't know, but she and I got into it outside, of the courtroom. She was saying that, she wholeheartedly believed in Jason's innocence and she wasn't even considering the fact that Jason could have been guilty and blah, blah, blah. And she went on. And so Molly looked at her and she goes, And she was right. Christina looked at Molly and said, But nobody knew that at the time. See, uh-uh. So Jocelyn is talking to Carly about Dex signing up for the force, and that's going to put a bullet, a target on his back, and blah blah blah. And Carly says, "Yeah, it kind of could. I mean, I could try to talk to Dex to try to talk him out of it, but she goes, he's gonna do it anyway." And she goes, "And Sonny this, Sonny that. Sonny is the one that needs to be behind bars." And Christina's listening to this, and Molly's like, Christina, let it go, just let it go. And Christina goes, No. So she goes up to Jocelyn. She says, Hey, you better watch what you're saying about my father. And Jocelyn turns around and she goes, I don't have to watch nothing I say about Sonny. She goes, I'm having a private conversation with my mother. And she goes, yeah, but you're talking loud enough that everybody can hear it or that I can hear it. And like I said, you better watch how you talk about my father after everything he did for you. He raised you in his house. And Jocelyn says, look, I was a kid. I did not have a choice where I could live. And Cardi's like, Jocelyn, Jocelyn, just, she goes, no, no, Christina, you know what your father does. And so she goes, no, you don't know, Jocelyn, you don't know exactly what my father does. Jocelyn says, oh, I know way more of what your father does than apparently you ever would want to know. And what's that supposed to mean? Okay, Christina, your father beat an old man, and I am so sick of them making Cyrus a helpless old man. Beat an old man within inches of his life. And the old man wasn't even fighting back. Isn't that right, Molly? And Christina looked, she goes, no, 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 Molly, show her the file. Show her what her father is capable of. And Molly comes over. Listen, guys, you know what? And Carter's like, Jocelyn, just like, she goes, no, Sonny is a murderer. Sonny, oh, she just bashed Sonny like she does. And she goes, and you know what, Christina? You know. Oh, I'm sorry. Molly, show her some of the other cases that Sonny got off on a technicality. Doesn't mean he was any less guilty. And Cardi's like, okay, Jocelyn. And Molly's like, Christina, no. And Christina just looks at her and she didn't have nothing else to say. She goes, I can't even be around her right now. So she turns away and I thought, oh, you can't be around her right now. I may not like Jocelyn's self-righteousness, but I definitely don't like Christina's selective self-righteousness. Period. Her father is a mob boss and she knows it. And she knows that. He's donated to the hospital. Oh yes, all the philanthropist stuff. But he also hooks people up on meat hooks in freezers. Has that done. So Molly said, Christina, I mean, Christina walked away. Molly's looking at her. She goes, you know what, Jocelyn? That was out of line. She said, Christina is pregnant and does not need that kind of stress from you. And bottom line, that is her father. She's gonna, defend her father. But she just looks at Christina. I mean, she looks at Jocelyn. And then Molly just turns and walks away. Jocelyn's just standing there. And Carly looked at her. She goes, Jocelyn? Oh, no, not from you too. I didn't say nothing that wasn't true. She goes, no, you didn't say nothing that wasn't true. Jocelyn? But Sonny is Christina's father. Okay? And you went way overboard. And Jocelyn goes, I hope you're not going to say I have to apologize. She goes, no, I'm not going to say you have to apologize. Christina gave as good as she got, which was true. See, Christina can dish it, but can Christina take it? Can Christina take it? So now we have Dante. Dante got home. Dante came home. So he's barely able to make it through the door, right? He's barely, yeah, okay. Let's make it like you were shot, okay? Because you still walking pretty good for somebody just got out of a coma 2 days ago, okay? So Sam walks him in and he's gonna try to sit down. He goes, maybe I could, because she goes, you need some help? No, I'm fine, I'm fine. But then when he gets ready to go sit down, maybe I could use a little help. So she helps him sit down and she talks to them. And then Rocco and Scout come through the door. And he's like, Dad. And so he's so happy. And he goes over to Dante, and Scout goes, Dante. So they go sit on the couch next to him. And, Danny, I'm not Danny, Rocco kind of pats his father on the back. I think he hugged him maybe because Sam said, be careful, you guys. And so she looks out the door and she goes, guys. And she closes the door. Where's Danny? And Rocco said, Danny said there was something he needed to go do real quick. So she goes, did he say what it was? Where he was going? And Rocco said, no, Danny, he never says. So then he's still talking to Dante. And she's looked like, she goes, oh, you know what? I will just call him I'll just text him and find out where he's at. And Scout says, Mommy, you can't. Remember? You took his phone. And she was like, I did do that. And as she's saying that, guess who comes through the door with a big box of donuts? And she sees it and she goes, Danny, where have you been? He says, I went to Eckerd's to get some donuts as a welcome home to Dante. And she goes, oh, okay. And so Scout's like, oh, donuts, right? And so they were talking briefly, and Danny says, welcome home to Dante. And then Sam says, you know what? Olivia brought dinner over for us. But would you guys like to do something different? We'll take a vote. Would you guys like to eat dessert before dinner or dinner before dessert? Who wants dessert before dinner? And of course, everybody raised their hand. They want donuts. So Danny picks up the box and she goes, Dante, you get the first one. And Dante says, no, you know what? I want Sprout to have the first one. And she goes, did you get something with pink sprinkles? And he shows her the box. Oh, she takes out her favorite pink sprinkles. And then Dante gets a donut, and then Rocco gets his, and blah, blah, blah. So she goes, but she told them before the donuts, she had sent them up to wash their hands because they were going to be eating donuts with their hands, right? And she says, Danny, hang on. And so Rocco and Scout go up, and Danny says, yeah. She goes, okay. Did you go see your father before you got these donuts? He said, no, I did not go see my father before I got these donuts. Because, see, now he would have to know where Jason was, right? And so she goes, okay, I believe you. And he goes, wow, I'm surprised it went that easy. Look, he was going to go get those donuts no matter what kind of trouble he may or may not have gotten into. See, that's Danny. Danny's like, I'm going to do what I want when I want, right? So she goes, and you know what, Danny, here's what I'm going to do. So she takes his phone out of the desk. She goes, I'm going to give you your phone back. But I also put a location tracker on. So I'm going to know where you're at all times. And he's like, great. What do you say? Something and not, and you still don't trust me. So she just looked at him, and then he goes upstairs. And then when they come back, that's when they all get the donuts. And so, but she's talking to Dante, and Dante was like, I think you may have made a mistake. And she's like, why? She goes, making Danny think that you don't trust him. I don't know, Sam. I think that you may have made a mistake there. See, not so much the tracker. The tracker should have been on the phone, period, on all the kids' phones. That's just the way of life nowadays. I mean, before my my daughter, goodness, she's 34, be 34 this year. So when she was a teenager, they didn't have tracker the way they have it now, but they had Find My iPhone, right? Because she was on my account. So all the iPhone, all the phones that my children had, because I have four, I could see where they were at. Now my older two were, they were already in their 20s by the time my younger set, my daughter and my younger son were in their teens. I didn't really never tracked my older boys. They didn't have it. But for my last two, it sure did. Find my iPhone whenever I needed to. You out at night. My daughter was young. Actually, she was a teenage actress, and so she hung out with a lot of her actor friends. And even though she had curfew, I definitely knew where she was. That was a must for me. So anyway, and it wasn't that I don't trust you. No, if something happens, I need to know where to find you. Okay, I need to know. So anyway, where your cell phone was last, because sometimes, unfortunately, they can get kidnapped and the person throws their cell phone away, God forbid. But at least I know the last location of that phone where you were. So anyway, we'll see, what she does with that. Next thing we had, so good. Dante's back at home. We have look, I think they're about to put Jordan and Drew together. They're making them meet up. See, now we got Drew meeting up with Nina. Let's see who he sees again. It's Drew and Jordan. Remember, Drew and Jordan was at the gym last week. Okay. They have pretty decent chemistry together. Oh, let's see how the writers are getting ready to go with that. So while Drew was in there talking to Jordan, she wants Crimson to cover a puff piece on the city of Port Charles, trying to spruce up its image. Kate's just barges right in past Drew's receptionist. And he told her, whatever her name is, I told I'm in a meeting. He goes, I didn't give her an opportunity to stop me. And Kate's being Kate's talking about, I want to know, I need to talk to you about your brother, Jason Morgan. And he goes, and I need to do it in private. And actually, when he barged in, Jordan stood up. I ain't mad at you, Jordan. Don't keep your back to an armed man, right? I don't care if he's FBI. So he looks at Jordan, and Jordan looks at him, and Drew says, "Oh no, she could stay." Aside from the fact, I want her to hear what you have to say to me, right? Like in case I need a witness. Exactly, excellent. So he goes, "It's about your brother, Jason Morgan. Have you seen or heard from him since he's been back?" He says, "No, I have not." He says, "I find that hard to believe he's your brother." And Drew looked at him and he goes, "I don't care what you find it hard to believe. I have not been in contact with my brother." He says, "Yeah, but you were at his arraignment." He says, "My brother and I have family in common." And he goes, "Yeah, both of you were married to the same woman and both of you dated the same woman." And Drew just looked at him and he goes, "You do know that, what do you say, hindering a FBI investigation could land you back in Pentonville. You could get sent right back there." And I'm like, wait a minute. Jason was acquitted of the charge of shooting Dante. Jason is not a known felon. Therefore, Drew can speak with him. Jason's out on bail. He hasn't been convicted of anything. Felons are not supposed to be around felons. Like realistically, Cyrus and Spencer are not supposed to be around each other, right? So anyway, Drew looked at him and he goes, Agent Cates, you do whatever you have to do, but know this, I'm going to use my resources, my media empire, to make this all very, very public. And I don't think you want that. You know how Case, when he gets slapped in the face with his actions, he just stands there like a stupid deer in the headlight. Well, no, that won't be necessary. Thank you for your time, Mr. Kane. And he turns and he walks out. And Jordan was like, I like the way you put him in his place and told him off, right? And he goes, it's like the nerve of him coming in there. Now you think you're going to threaten me with evidence. See, which is why maybe are no real RICO charges against Carter. You can't trust Kate. I would have to see that evidence. He better have showed Jason some really good proof that they had something, because he is such a liar. I can't stand John Cates. Now, Anna went to Pentonville and she visited Brennan. And of course, he gave her no information. I don't know why she thought he would. That was a wasted scene. Just gave him the actor more screen time, because Anna got nothing, nor did she find out. She wants to know who's running the WSB now. Of course, he didn't tell her, right? She got nothing from the whole exchange of, you tried to have me killed because I knew what you did way back in the day. And he's like, but yet you're still walking around. If I tried to have you killed. And she goes, yeah, but not for the lack of try. He just looks at her like, laughable. She has no proof. He goes, well, if you had proof, you'd have showed it to me. She has no proof, right? And she knows she didn't. So Anna went out of there not learning anything more than she went in there with. Now, Natalia ran into Sunny. She's supposed to be meeting Brooklyn at the MetroCorp, but Brooklyn was delayed, and Lois was meeting Sunny, and Lois was delayed because Brooklyn had a wedding dress emergency that the fabric is, too old. It's like decayed. It's shredding. It can't be altered. So Lois was trying to find different pieces of the dress. Can we use pieces? Because let's face it, y'all, Brooklyn, the actress playing Brooklyn, is a good 3 sizes bigger than that dress would have ever been. So I don't know how they could have tried to alter that anyway, with the fabric being old and this being. So I think what they're saving is the bodice of the dress. So they're going to integrate a piece of Lila's dress in there. Okay, right? And realistically, nobody else could wear it because it's just falling apart. So then they both go to the MetroCourt, and Natalia and Sunny have a decent conversation. And she was saying, were you on board when Christina first came out with to you? And he goes, I'm gonna be honest with you, I was surprised. I, because I didn't know. He said, but I'm gonna tell you what, Christina is her own person. She's been that way ever since she was a little girl. And he named all her attributes. And he goes, her coming out to me didn't change any of that. And Natalia looks, she goes, well, I'm not convinced that this is Blaze is just, this is just a phase. This is how she's handling being, assaulted by that Link character. I don't feel, she's still saying, I don't feel my daughter knows her own mind. She's still saying that. And Sunny just looked at her like, well, just your kid. Soon as Lois and Brooklyn walked in, Lois zeroed in across that room and saw Natalia smiling at Sunny, and, because they were still having a friendly conversation. Oh, she didn't like it. So they both go right over there to Sunny and Blaze, and says, sorry, we're late. She goes, wedding dress emergency. And she goes, we've settled it. And so Lois goes and she stands on Sunny's side. She's looking at Natalia, and Natalia says, we're going to go and we're going to have our meeting. So she and Brooklyn go to a table, and Lois is cut. All but said, yeah, get to stepping, chick. Get to stepping. All but that. She proceeds to tell Sunny she doesn't like Natalia. She can tell what kind of woman she was. And Sunny's like, but you never met her. She says, I was in the music business, Sunny, for years. I can smell a stage mom trying to be handler from a mile away. I can smell one. And I can tell you that one there ain't no good. She sure did. So then she and Sunny, she sits down and they start talking. And Natalia proceeds to talk to Brooklyn about how, your interests are divided. I'm not so sure you're the best manager for my daughter. And she goes, well, I absolutely am. And Blaze signed with me. So she goes, yeah, but you have a wedding coming up. You this, she goes, and you that and that. And she goes, well, everything you just named, I will handle while I'm still Blaze's manager. And so she says, yeah, but Blaze is playing at venues that are way too small for her. 200 people venues. So Brooklyn said, I would rather her pack out 200 capacity venues with 300 than have a 1,000 capacity venue with only 500 people in it. She goes, but Natalia, Blaze's venues was her choice, her decision. That's how she wants to handle it. I am supporting her. And so she says, oh, and one thing she told Sunny, because Sunny says, I bet you think you know more than your daughter, don't you? She goes, I absolutely do. I know more about her than she knows about herself. Oh, really? I'm thinking, oh, really, Mom? I bet your mother said that about you, right? So anyway, she says, and this other clause, Blaze, and this is, I'm strict, Blaze's private life will be her private life. You will something, something. And Brooklyn says, well, for one thing, I don't manage Blaze's private life. Because she goes, who's she seeing? And this is nobody's business and blah, blah, blah. She goes, I don't manage Blaze's private life. And then she looked at Natalia and she says, and neither do you. And Natalia looked at her, that's my daughter, and blah, blah, blah. And then when another way she stabbed, trying to do a little dig at Brooklyn, she goes, see, you can't even make a meeting. How will you make meetings on time with record producers and labels and vendors on time? You might have another wedding dress emergency. So Brooklyn looked at her. She says, I will handle anything that comes up. Anything. I'm thinking, Natalia, you don't know. You talking to a mini Tracy. You don't let Lois hear you talking cross to her daughter. Lois will be worse than Tracy would be to Natalia because she's already biased. She already thinking she didn't like the way Sunny was looking at her, and Sunny wasn't even looking at her. Cross or like, ooh, hey, none of that. But Lois kind of felt a little jealous. She really is. I think she want to be the next Sunny Corinthos. I really do. So anyway, that was it, everybody. That is it for GH today. Let me go to comment corner. Oh, I don't have my comment corner up. So comment corner, comment corner. Let me get these comments up. And here we go. All right. Today, I think I'm bottom up because I was top down yesterday. So today, I think I am going from the bottom up. So let me scroll down to the bottom of the comments and go up. Okay. No, you know what? Yesterday I was bottom up. I'm going to go top down today. Dacia says, let me get my trusty dusty timer. There we go. Dacia says, wherever or whatever happens to Ned, uh, he's not been on GH. Was he fired? Just asking. He hasn't been on lately. He better be there. Well, he has to be there to give his daughter away. I'm sure they'll have him for that. You know, Ned is on Days of Our Lives. And I guess right now his storyline on Days of Our Lives is pretty hectic, you know. So, but for Brooklyn's wedding, he will definitely be there. Probably, I don't know. Um, but and you would have thought during the whole Dante debacle, we would have seen him go visit Dante, but I guess they decided that wasn't um, worthy enough. But no, Ned Quartermain has not been fired. May May says, I think Jocelyn Jacks, wait, Jocelyn Jackson Sky, this is not right. I was just wrong. Wait, that said she talked to people at Bobby's or her grandma's and her grandma's. Okay, that comment, I'm not quite getting it. Her grandmother would not be that way, and just is all control herself. Okay, all right. I'm kind of not getting your comment, May May. User in you says, pretty lady with the hat. In my opinion, Spencer will be returning. Also, will it be just when Trina finds out she's pregnant? Trina would have already found out she's pregnant if she is. And yes, Spencer is coming back. Nicholas Chavez was never leaving the show. He was just shooting on, you know, the little mini series for the Menendez brothers about them. Um, and then user in you says, pretty lady, where's Ned? Also, I miss my Scotty. And Annette says, Friday used to be good. Can't wait for Monday. Yeah, because it sure wasn't good at all yesterday. It was a Thursday, Wednesday, like ability there. Oh, my blind dog can't get out my sliding, my little pocket doors, y'all. Hold on for a second. Let me take care of that for her. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, what Friday was not good. And then Annette says, on point with these storylines, not too interesting. Nope, not right now. It's like at a whole lull. Even the whole Jason coming back should be more jam-packed than it is now. And Renee says, oh, sweet daily recap lady, allow me to explain. Port Charles is not a booming metropolis. It's more like a small town. You're right. If it was St. Louis or Charlotte, North Carolina, the cheering would not make any sense at all. But Bobby's is a little local hangout. I'm sure folks talk about everything that goes over a signature grilled cheese. Waiter staff, wait staff, probably almost everyone's business is just small town gossip. I disagree with that because had they had a bunch of our regular Port Charles locals that we see just at Bobby's, they would all been Curtis. These folks nobody even knew. And hello there says Jane Elliott, great actress, with this renewed Tracy. Crystal says General Hospital should have kept that fake speech Curtis gave yesterday. How about wait, about how hard it is to be disabled. Really? Because GH has no problem doing social issue storylines. Christina and Blaze are a good example of that. But when it comes to people with disabilities, they're not seen, they are not seen in the same light as someone going through mental health or things that go on in the gay community. GH could have written a story showing some of the complexities of living with disabilities, both good and bad. But General Hospital chose to stick to the old stereotypical trope, trophies, trophies. Um, it's too bad GH and most soaps in the US still live in the 18th century, even when it comes to disability. And then Cindy says, Heather has an operation, the cobalt is removed, and now she's suddenly a good person. I'm not saying it couldn't have been a factor in her behavior, but it seems like an illogical redemption attempt. I know, because Heather has been Heather forever. NK Rose says Carly only took over Sonny's job to protect the family. Heck, when the family was in danger again, Nina even turned to Carly to do it a second time. Yes, she sure did. NK Rose says Blaze didn't want to take the job from Sasha after she was mentally and financially abused. She thought it was a bad look. I am says Heather is tricking Laura, LOL. Heather killed a cop, Brando, Britt, tried to kill Joss and Ava. Ava needs to stop abusing, no, Laura needs to stop abusing her mayoral powers. I hope Ava and Sunny give them a severe awakening. Mentally insane, her list of crimes go long. Laura is wrong about what about Sasha, Brando, Josh, Sonny? Laura's forgot about her victims. I know. She will lose out with this ridiculousness. Heather would help Esme kidnap Ace when she comes back. That is true. I believe she will definitely do that. I'd never forgive Heather. I am says coming out isn't easy. Look at today's entertainers, athletes, and politicians, then kids. Blaze just told her mother, let her navigate through it. Christina has nothing to lose and has lived openly for a while. Blaze has to actually lose something or someone in order to understand. Merle says, I don't like the way Portia freaked out on Heather. She's not unforgivable herself. And then Cheryl says, I'm something, is this Joss and Dex? I'm for Joss and Dex and Sasha and Cody. Is that what you said, Cheryl? Brenda says, I have a question about Nina. She's back at work. When does she have time to go to the hotel and work? Miss Lady, you're right about everything uh, viewed today. Have a good day. And then Lisa says, Victor implied that Nicholas, that he had Hayden killed when he asked about her when Victor came back some time ago. I don't remember that. I don't remember that. And then Lisa says Blaze is full of it, telling Christina that if she's not comfortable with keeping her private life private, no dates, ignored her in Nina's office, no holding hands, nothing. And then Catherine says Christina being open in her life is completely different than on a very public platform with 24-hour news coverage. Even straight stars, some choose privacy in their dating life. That is true, Catherine, as it can destroy any chance of a relationship. I can't be all or nothing. Wait, it can't be all or nothing. I can see Blaze coming out and Christina leaving her because she doesn't like that much attention, and Blaze is devastated. Decisions like that can be life altering, and Blaze doesn't have the support that Christina does. That's true. Uh, can't decision can't the decision be about that? They both need to be clear what they are choosing. And then Karen says Blaze didn't even say hello to Christina. And then Lisa said to Catherine, Blaze should have acknowledged Christina, say hello at least. She didn't need to say hello, lover, or kiss her. Just say hi, Christina, not ignore her like she was a lamp in the room. That was completely rude. Christina never said anything to her when they talked later that day. I know. I would have been pissed off at her. She goes from one extreme to another. When she came out to her mother, she put Christina in the middle of it. I understand she didn't have the support Christina has, but she just acted like she didn't she wasn't there and didn't talk to Christina about becoming the face of deception. When she offered to rip up the contract, if it would be too much for her, wait. Then she act like to rip up the contract if it will be too much for her. Oh, she'd rip it up if it's too much for you, Christina. Why not tell Maxie she'll think about it and talk to her girlfriend first? I know I said that yesterday. And then user says, pretty lady, I asked again, is Cody and Sasha brother? No, user and you. Cody and Sasha are not brother and sister. No, 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 they are not. All right, I'm over my 10 minutes for Comment Corner. Comment Corner. I will be back on Monday with another daily recap of General Hospital.